Hello everybody and welcome back to Buried. It has been so long since I played this game, but I'm going to see how it does. I'm going to see how I do. You and 64% of players decided to bring Dennis with you. This is Chapter 2. This right here is a summary of Chapter 1, which I remember nothing of, but I will drop a link to Episode 1 in the description if you haven't watched that yet. That's an old episode. This is before I had my beard. This is when I had long, ugly hair. But it's fine. I'm fine. Let's begin Chapter 2! We're standing on the thin platform of what looks like a fancy subway. The rails look well used, but not old. There are small overhead lights that are very dim, as if they are running on emergency power. The dim overhead lights are a blessing, but the size of the place makes me feel vulnerable. Staring ahead, the tunnel seems to be endless. It's almost dizzying. But there's a small light further ahead, and then a space that breaks the monotony of the tunnel's curved surface. Another platform, maybe. Dennis, what do you think this is? Looks like we're waiting for the D train, Dennis says with a deadly-sounding cackle. Also, the ringing noise is louder down here. It's much more solid now, and there's some other sound, something like the faint hum of machinery. What's your take on this, boss? You think we're safe here? Dennis asks. Not at all. This is what I think to myself, but I don't want to let Dennis see that I'm rattled. While he seems to be limping along much better than when we first stumbled into this place, he's still in rough shape. I'm leading him here, and I should probably make him feel confident in that. Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We're too far in to go back, I say. Besides, if we get caught for trespassing, I'm pretty sure we'd slide by. We're good. You're in pain, and we've got to find the rest of our crew. They could still be here somewhere. Dennis nods and looks reassured, albeit weak and miserable. From the looks of it, we can either go left or right. The left is slightly lit, the right, not so much. This makes me uneasy because I get the sense that one wrong turn in a place like this could have us wandering for hours. Suddenly, I jerk my head to the right as I hear the unmistakable sound of someone walking. Did you hear something? I ask Dennis, my eyes straining to see anything in the darkness. Not sure, he says. Maybe. It kinda sounded like footsteps. I wait a moment, but the sound doesn't come again. So, those are our options. To the left are flickering lights, indicating that we'll at least be able to see. There's also a hum of machinery, a sign of life. To the right is just darkness, but we also heard footsteps in that direction. Ooh! What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I'm gonna go left. We decided to go into the lights. Seems smart to stay in the light. Left it is. Wow. As we head left, the lights ahead are like a beacon in the dark, luring us forward. Someone left lights on for us, Dennis says, trying to be funny but creeping me out instead. I wonder if that's a good or bad thing, I say. As we near the lights, I hear the hum of machinery grow louder, but it doesn't sound like any machine I've heard before. As the light increases, I use it to take an inventory of Dennis and his condition. While the bleeding seems to have stopped, the amount that has soaked into his pants and shirt is beyond alarming. How much further can you walk? I ask him. Can you keep going? Yeah, Dennis says. Let's walk into the deep tunnel that has no business being here. Now fully stepping into the light, I notice that the sound of machinery is coming from an area on the left side that is protected by a guardrail. Wisps of bright blue light dance on the walls as they leak out from whatever is below. I also notice a posted sign that says danger, severe radiation poisoning threat. I'm gonna stay back from that. Radiation poisoning is nasty business. Dennis, I don't think we should get near whatever's down there, I say. Dennis studies the blue light a bit longer and then nods. He's hurting enough as it is. I don't think we need to add radiation poisoning to his list of ailments. Or mine, for that matter. We step away and take off down the tunnel again. As I start walking, I notice another structure coming into view up ahead. As we head further into the tunnel, we reach another platform. There's light coming from the platform, but like the overhead lights, they're dim, red emergency lights. I start to wonder if the explosion at the logging site caused a power outage in this place, whatever this place is. The ringing noise that I originally thought was in my head is getting louder. I'm starting to think it's some sort of alarm. When we come to the large open area ahead in the tunnel, it further resembles a subway station. As much as I try to ignore the reality, it's undeniable. We've stumbled into some sort of high-tech transportation system that is buried beneath the forests of Kentucky. It makes absolutely no sense and creates an entirely new sort of fear as to what the hell we have walked into. I notice that Dennis seems confident, though. As we reach the large opening, we have to climb over the rails and up onto the platform. I have to help Dennis over the rails and then up the small utility ladder that is bolted into the opposite side of the travelway. When he reaches the large open area resembling a subway waiting area, he collapses on the floor and lets out a heaving breath. "You know what?" Dennis says, exasperated. "This is ridiculous. I quit. I'm not going any further." On top of worrying about my crew and the madness of wherever we are, I'm not in the mood for Dennis to act like a baby. I'm going to be gently reassuring. "It's okay. Take it easy. You can do this." I'm not the one with a gash in my side, I think to myself, so I decide to cut him some slack. "Damn, boss. I'm sorry," he says. "It's okay," I say. "I don't know how you're still on your feet, if I'm being honest." "Stubbornness," he says with a weak laugh. "You need a minute to rest?" "Rest?" I ask as warmly as I can muster. "No, if I sit down to rest, I'm afraid I might not get back up. Let's keep going while I can still go." I reach down, help him to his feet, and then we get ourselves up onto the platform. Right in front of us, there's an entrance to a long hallway exiting the platform area. It's at this point that I realize those red emergency lights might be on for someone else who's actually supposed to be here. Do I yell out or stay quiet? I think I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm still not sure if I want to alert anyone to the fact that there are strangers in this secret place. The thought of hearing a scream, even my own scream, in this empty place is too much to bear. The emergency lights continue to flicker overhead, casting a sick sort of pinkish light on everything. My mind is racing with what sort of place this might be. It's obvious that it's meant to be a secret. And if it is supposed to be a secret, and there was a power outage recently, maybe most everyone has been evacuated. This thought does nothing to make me feel any better as we walk towards the platform exit. We step inside and it seems just as empty as every other place we've come through, weakly illuminated by more overhead emergency lights. We're standing inside a hallway that looks surreal for a moment. Weird light colors. The hallway reminds me of a hospital wing, but there's something not quite right about it. It's the first clean and tidy area I've seen since coming to in the woods. It looks like it was recently in use, despite the dim emergency lights overhead. There are chairs against the walls, and the floor looks well cleaned, as do the walls. The ringing noise is definitely coming from here, and a small flashing red light along the ceiling seems to flash along with it. That ringing noise is an alarm, I say, if only to confirm my own thought. But for what? Dennis asks. And then he asks a question that has been on my mind since I found the little building in the woods. What the hell is this place? We exchange a look that speaks volumes. We reach the end of the hallway and hear a sound like a large metallic grinding. This is followed by a clicking noise and then the unmistakable noise of a generator kicking on. Generator! Oh hey, it's normal-ish looking. Without warning, the facility jolts to life. The red glow of the emergency lights is suddenly replaced by bright white fluorescent ones. That mechanical hum is oddly comforting. Somehow, the power being back on urges us on. It's then that I notice the ringing noise has stopped. So it had been an alarm. But for what? Just a power failure? We head down the hallway, the electric hum of the lights sounding eerie overhead. Other than that, the place is dead quiet. The hall is about 100 feet long with two main doors. One door opens into a large room that looks like a conference room with a whiteboard and paper strewn about. Across the hallway, another door looks like a laboratory of some sort. Dennis slumps against the wall in defeat and lets out a scary-sounding chuckle. Something funny? I ask as a dark and brooding panic starts to grip me. Dennis just keeps chuckling as he slides down to the floor. I'm just gonna sit here while you look around, he says. There's a look in his eyes that reminds me far too much of a dead animal on the side of the road. I'm gonna enter the lab? Maybe there's medical supplies in there? Perhaps. Walking inside, I see small vials and glass containers held in a clear glass case. Everything is either glass or silver, and I instantly feel like I'm dirtying the place up. I notice several test tubes in glass cases, as well as some sort of tube system that seems to have a clear liquid trapped inside of it. In the back corner, I find a laptop in screensaver mode. I'm going to look at the laptop. I hit the enter key and a plain gray background pops up. There are several icons and folders to choose from. I click on a folder labeled Test 1.5 Ethos. A few documents are filled with formulas and names I mostly don't understand, but there are some things that are easy to understand, things that made my blood go cold. Subject number 6, cause of death, embolism or aneurysm, or both. Ideas for new delivery mode, spherical, liquid, induced comatose state first. TerraCore Company, possible plutonium supplier. I'm gonna look at the test tubes! I can't help but check out the test tubes. They're all filled with varying green and light blue fluids. One of them looks to have some sort of glowing dirt resting in the bottom of it. Another holds what looks like a grasshopper submerged in liquid, only it's the strangest grasshopper I've ever seen. At first it looks like it's expanding and contracting like a blowfish. Then it contracts so much that it vanishes completely. As I look closer, it springs back into existence in a completely different test tube, and I'm embarrassed when I actually jump back. I take another look around the lab, trying to piece together what might have been taking place here. I smell some sort of chemical in the air, and it makes me think that someone has used this lab recently. Outside in the hallway, I hear Dennis grunting. I head out of the room to see him still seated on the floor. But I don't get very far, because as I exit, a man comes rushing around the corner with an automatic rifle in his hand. Oh shit. Oh shit. It's hard to look beyond his rifle, but the man carrying it is young, with messy dark hair. His skin is so pale that I wonder if maybe he lives down here. He has the look of a guy who's been cooped up for a little too long. He doesn't seem like the kind of person I trust with a gun in a stressful situation. As he sees us in the doorway, he screams and brings the gun up. It is aimed directly at my head. Put my hands in the air! I put my hands in the air, surprised at how natural it feels to go into this surrendered state. Maybe it's because this feels like a dream. Maybe it's because I feel like I'll snap awake if the maniac pulls the trigger. I recognize you. You stomped around and set up the security mics in the entrance. What? I ask, unable to think of anything else to say. Who are you? The man asks. Did you do this? The man eyes us both, and I see something in his eyes that unsettles me. He's scared, but there's something else. We're just loggers. His eyes look distant for a minute, and then he says, Bullshit. But for some reason, I'm pretty sure he knows I'm telling the truth. Someone knocked the power out, the man says. It's back on now, but if it was out long enough, well, we're in a heap of trouble. Was it you? Who sent you? Look, we don't know what you're talking about, Dennis says. Something happened out in the woods. Are you alone? Are there others with you? The armed man asks, thrusting the gun in my face. How the hell did we get in this situation, I think to myself. If only I had left that damn ringing noise alone, we wouldn't be here. I'm not really sure if we want to give this guy information yet. We don't know anything about him. Then again, he might have answers. We're looking for our crew. We have other crew members that we can't find, I say. Your crew? He asks, seeming confused. If this man thinks that we're nuts, there's no telling what he might do. The fact that he looks a little crazy himself makes the situation even hairier. But how'd you get in here? The man asks. I point down the hall towards the subway. We came in that way. The doors weren't locked. His expression calms a bit, but I'm still very aware of the gun that is leveled less than a foot away from my face. Please, put the gun down. The only way I'm putting this rifle down is after I've blown your brains out, the man says. With that, he sticks the muzzle of the gun in my face. It's a childish move, a playground tactic at best, but it's sufficient to show me that he knows he's in control now. He then levels the rifle at Dennis, and I can only assume it's because his wounds make him appear to be the weaker of us. The man takes a shaky step forward. Dennis looks back and forth between the barrel of the gun and me, his eyes pleading for help. I'm going to step between Dennis and the gun. Before I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I step out in front of Dennis. The barrel of the rifle is nearly touching my chest now. Both Dennis and the man seem a little confused at my action, and I do my best to swallow down my fear. I don't know what's going on here, I say, but we are here by mistake. Well, you have no business here, the man says. But now that the power is on, I think you might be too late anyway. For what? I ask. But he doesn't answer me. Instead, he steps forward and actually pushes me backwards with the end of his rifle. The man then repeats a question he asked before, one that makes no sense and honestly makes me think he might be a little crazy. "Who sent you?" he asks. "You assholes from the Pentagon?" I'm not quite sure how to take this question. Is this guy joking? "Yeah, I'm the president." No. "No, what the hell are you talking about?" "No," I say. "We're just loggers. Something blew up and my friend got hurt. We're looking for the rest of our crew." "Likely story," the man says, but I see a flicker of recognition in his face that makes me think he might believe me. Still, his grip on the gun is as tight as ever. The look on his face makes me think he'll shoot at any moment. "You both just stand still," he says. "Sooner or later, someone will come along and I'll turn you over." He again thrusts the gun forward as if it has an invisible bayonet on it. "There's no need for that," I tell him. I have no guarantee that he won't pull the trigger. "Look," Dennis says, "we don't want any trouble. We're just as confused as you are." Then, in a movement so fast that I just about miss it, Dennis lunges forward. I have no idea how he's moving so fast. Just 30 seconds ago I was worried about how close to death he looked. But now he's moving lightning fast, his left arm coming down on the barrel of the gun like a club. In the commotion, the man does pull the trigger. The booming noise is deafening and there's a moment where I think I've been hit. It takes the clanging noise of the round tearing into the floor at my feet to help me realize that I have not been shot. I look to the floor and see where the shot missed my right leg by less than 3 inches. Paralyzed, in shock for a moment as Dennis and the man fight over possession of the rifle. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall I could use as a bludgeon, but I might not have enough time to grab it before Dennis is overpowered. "Punch him!" Dennis has a man pinned to the floor but isn't strong enough to keep him down. As I fall to the floor to help, the barrel of the rifle swings right in front of my face, a reminder of how close I'd come to being shot. On my knees now, I deliver a hard, stiff punch to the man's face. I don't punch someone often. Never, really. I'm not usually the brawling type. Still, it is apparently effective. The man's head snaps back hard and his grip on the gun loosens. Dennis grabs the gun and falls to the floor, clearly winded and in pain. Our attacker is immobilized and I can feel a shift in the situation. Yet, although he's basically harmless now, I feel the need to pummel him, a desire that builds with each second I look at him. I'm just gonna stand up and step back. He's definitely out now. No threat. Or at least that's what I think. But he surprises me by mustering up one more swift kick in my direction, connecting with my forehead. My eyelid swells to the size of a grape almost immediately. It seems like this last attack is more to spite me than to defend himself. I stumble back and ready myself for another round of blows, but he just slouches into the floor. He's done. Dennis instantly hands me the rifle, and I take it with shaking hands. "I can't believe you stepped between me and that gun," Dennis says. "He could have killed you." I was pretty sure he wouldn't, I say, although I had known no such thing. "Still, thanks, man. That was some heroic stuff." "You'd have done the same, right?" Dennis says nothing. His eyes look to the floor. "What do we do now, boss?" he asks. We've come this far, and I want answers. I sense that Dennis does, too. I take a hard look at the man before I reply. We get answers from this guy. "No answers," the man says. "I don't have any." "Next time I won't just hit you," I say, plunging the rifle towards him. "Now get up." He obeys quickly, but his legs are wobbly and he leans against the wall for support. I can feel my swollen eyelid from where he kicked me earlier. I just hope it doesn't get so bad that it affects my sight. "Okay, let's move," I say, pointing the gun further down the hallway. We've come this far and I'm not going to let this guy stop us. We walk down the hallway until we come to the end. A single elevator waits for us, its steel sliding doors larger than a normal elevator. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about him. I can tell it's making him uncomfortable for me to have the gun. "What's your name?" I ask. "Marcus." "And you work here?" It's clear that he doesn't want to answer, but he gives us a little nod. "We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they might be?" I ask. "No," he says curtly, not bothering to elaborate. There's got to be some useful info we can get out of this guy. I just need to know how to dig for it. "I need a first aid kit for my friend here," I say. "Where might I find one?" "Down on the 2nd floor," he says, "but we can't go down there." "We're going down there." He looks at me like I'm an idiot. "You must be aware that you're inside of a classified government facility," he says. "It makes sense, but I want to doubt it. Well, I'm sure our government would want you to help save my friend, so take me to the first aid kit." can't, he says. You don't have clearance. Hell, I barely have clearance. Then, seemingly to himself, he mutters, I make this place run. And not even a thank you, just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a friggin' chaperone. I interrupt his monologue. We're going to that first aid kit. I could lose my job, he says. I wonder for a moment what sort of trouble I could get in for hitting a government employee. This makes me glad I took it easy on him. Then again, he had come at us with a rifle. It makes me think that things have gone terribly wrong in this place. And the explosion in the woods, or whatever the hell had happened, might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the second floor, but I'm not sure if it would be more productive to threaten him or ask for sympathy. I'm going to try asking for help. Look, I say, it hasn't been the best day. We're just trying to find out what's going on, to find our crew, to survive. I know that this isn't a normal situation down here. It looks like all your protocols have been blown to hell. Can you help us out? He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. Okay, he says. Thank you, I say. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad, and we can hear a slight mechanical hum behind the steel doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened sneers from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. It's exceptionally well lit and looks to be made of stainless steel. I half expect the thing to take off at the speed of light. There's another small keypad on the front right panel by the door with the options for 3 sub-level floors. Looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. So after we get a first aid kit for Dennis, how do we get out of here? I ask. We can't leave, Marcus says. Once the power came back on, the whole place was put on lockdown. What? I shout. Can you override it? No, it's to prevent anything from getting out. I can't. Marcus looks as deflated as Dennis. We can't get out. We're stuck here. Dennis leans into the corner and almost falls onto the floor. The struggle for the rifle took a lot out of him. I can see that much in his face. Slowly, we start to move down. The hum and grind of the car's motors fill the space. What can you do? Marcus bristles at the question, but I think it's fair. I mean, he's not allowed to unlock the doors or even get medical supplies. Why keep a guy around who can't even grab a band-aid without permission? Without me, nothing would get done here, Marcus answers me. These people think they're so brilliant, but some of them can barely turn their computers on without help. The top coder in my class at MIT, and I'm stuck living underground helping idiots who don't even trust me with keys. What goes on here? Marcus shakes his head. You may as well shoot me. I can't tell you. Why not? It's beyond classified, and the things I know don't even cover the start of it. What does that mean? I ask, starting to get irritated. It means that even if I wanted to tell you what sort of work is done here, I don't know enough about it. What's your job? I handle the IT work and make sure the databases are up and running. It's a 24/7 job. I haven't seen the sunlight in almost a year. I wonder what staying in a place like this for that long would do to someone's mind. I was recruited, he continues. Because of the workload, no one else wants this job, but I don't really mind being by myself. No family. Plus the IT, it's some crazy shit. Crazy how? I ask. This place generates over 100 terabytes of data per day, he answers, getting the slightest bit excited before his face falls again. What knocked the lights out? Seems like some sort of power outage, Marcus says. That's all I know. There was an outage and then... Then what? Dennis asks weakly. Then things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? I ask. The whole place seemed to shake when the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened and everything went dead. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were being killed by something. I tried getting the security cameras going again, but they only lasted for a little bit on my backup systems. But what I saw... What? I asked, feeling sharp fear worm its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens for that little bit of time made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on, I say. There's an emergency vault with a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place? Marcus gives me a grin that looks nearly insane. There are guns locked away in nearly every room in this place. Just in case, you know? Just in case of what? As he opens his mouth to answer, the elevator comes to a stop and the doors slide open. Marcus is out right away without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for a glassed-in room that is filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Dennis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the hell kind of government facility keeps loaded guns and emergency vaults in every single room? Alright. That's the end of Chapter 2. Let's see how I did. Curiosity. You and 39% of players obeyed the warning sign and stay away from the glow. Selflessness. You and 64% of players stepped in front of Dennis to protect him from Marcus. Mercy. You and 65% of players were easy on Marcus after he surrendered. Sweet. Well, I'm going to end it here. That's the end of Chapter 2. Let me know if you want to see Chapter 3. I'll put a link in, I'll put a link in Episode 1 in the description. I don't know why you would finish watching this before you watch the first one, though. Whatevs. Hey, I'm not your mom. Hey, if you want to follow me on other social media, I'm at MyCommandCore everywhere. Everywhere being basically the big ones. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook page. I have a Facebook page, Twitter. Yeah. I'm not super active there, but I'm trying to fix that. Anyway, let me know what you want to see. I'm going to put some links to playlists for my other stuff in the description. Some frustrating games, some scary games, you know, stuff like that. So, thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.